Hi guys, it's Selin Kara here, also known as Selin Tafada. If you're watching this, you've already probably seen the heavily edited BBC interview where I'm attempting to explain white proverbs as microaggressive racism. I would like to say that over 98% of my statements on white privilege, institutional racism, the myth of reverse racism, didn't make the cut, probably not to upset their white audience. Today I wanted to clear out the shit of a mess that the BBC made by trivialising the message behind white proverbs as a hashtag. I'm not doing this for the offended white people, I'm doing this for me and everyone else who received abuse, you know, by participating in the hashtag white proverbs. The BBC asked me, isn't it white bashing? Isn't it hostile? What was your message? The tweets are kind of funny. Aren't these proverbs well intentioned? And a whole load of other shit in which they didn't appreciate my response as the editing show. I'm going to touch upon all these points as I did with them throughout this video, but mostly provide an understanding of why white proverbs are racial microaggression. In the clip, the presenter gets more airtime deflating racial microaggression than myself explaining what white proverbs as a hashtag illustrate. BBC that the concept of white proverbs and racial microaggression isn't something that I've made up. It's been established by a theorist who focuses on race politics. And you know, people are welcome to go ahead and read up on it, you know, read about critical race theory. Instead of basing their racism, the definition of racism, on the dictionary. White proverbs as a hashtag did was allow people of colour, black people, brown people, other ethnic groups to showcase racial microaggression we all have experienced. You know, racial microaggression is brief, common, daily verbal indignities, whether intentional or unintentional. They communicate hostile, derogatory insults towards people. Yeah. Statements like, oh, your English is really good, no matter how well intentioned, as the BBC kept telling me, have racism so understated in its delivery that more often than not, when they make these comments, we don't even realise it occurs until later. And when we asked ourselves, wait, did that actually happen? You know, and more often than not, the perpetrator of these comments are completely oblivious and unacknowledging of its inherent racism, often responding to us with, I didn't mean it to be offensive. I'm not racist. I was just kidding. Don't make it into such a big deal. But the worst, the absolute worst is, It's not about black or white. We're all human. That's another major white proverb which actually says, look, it's not racism, okay? I'm going to deny you your racism and say we are all the same. I'm going to deny you your oppression that is perpetrated by people like me. And powered through institutional racism. I'm going to say it doesn't happen. That's what these things mean. I told the BBC that racism never actually disappears and it is constantly adapting to social, cultural changes. And so it changes expression, just never entirely disappears. And in fact, it's described as micro, then it doesn't mean that it's of a small racist nature. In fact, to us, the recipients, it's very large. You know, these are said to us on a daily basis, but not just on a daily basis, but repetitively. We hear these things, you know, which in turn can result in psychological or physically detrimental effects on our well-being in general. So when they read out a tweet to me by a fellow person of colour who said, generalising white people are just as disgusting as anything else. I said no. I said it is not just as disgusting as a black man being stopped and searched by the police more than a white person. It is not just as disgusting as a brown Muslim person being attacked based on race and religion. And that I am not sorry and I am not apologetic for the hashtag, because white people, apart from having their feelings hurt, do not really die from us generalising. We have people of colour, black, brown and other ethnic groups being attacked and killed from generalisations. We have people of colour, black, brown and other ethnic groups being attacked and killed from generalisations made about us. You know, the BBC asked me that surely my response to her was hostile and doesn't invite conversation. I said, too fucking bad. And I simply said that I wasn't here to have a conversation. I was here to say this is the kind of fucked up shit that white people will tell us all the time, and you know, let's have some fun with it ourselves. Let's share our experiences of racial microaggression together and, you know, poke some fun at it. It's funny because if we ignore microaggression, it sends the message that it was insignificant. If we attack it, it propagates the stereotypes of people of colour, in which the BBC did with me, angry brown woman. And if we discuss it, we're playing the race cards and making everything about race as if we're playing a game, as if our struggles are a game. At the end of the day, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. So why should I be nice about the racism directed towards me and other people of colour? You know, why are we expected to be nice to the racism directed at us, regardless of whether they didn't mean it to be, you know, offensive or racist or, you know, innocent? we are telling them that it is, and that's a dangerous thing when you let your oppressor tell us what our oppression is. And that it isn't real. I mentioned all the different themes of racial microaggression to the BBC as demonstrated through tweets such as, "You're too pretty to be wherever you're actually from," or "Since you're a black man, you must be a deviant and sell drugs," and I explained that these are reinforced by representations in the media, and you know, we never see black and brown people, you know, being successful, and you know, we never see these, and you know, if there are, they're probably, like I said, these reinforcing stereotypes. And if it's a woman, they're probably the love interest of a white man. And us brown folks are probably Arab terrorists eating curry with shitty English. I explained that racial microaggressive statements such as, "You are so articulate, did you go to private school, can your parents speak English as well as you do," suggest that they already have an automatic conscription in their minds of what kind of people we are. They've already assumed that we are savage, illiterate, uneducated. When they meet us and when they actually witness otherwise, they're taken back. And, you know, we don't fit their idea anymore, so we're bombarded with racial microaggressive statements. That isn't well-intentioned or innocent. Out my tweet saying, "Do you eat kebab / jerk chicken / curry every day? You are so lucky." And he said, "Well, I'm Asian and I do eat curry." And I said, "So you should, it's delicious, it's your food." But I said, what happens when they make this statement is that they reduce us to our cuisines, to our music, and that these become representations of who we are and strip us entirely of anything else we are capable of as a people. Our histories, our traditions, they're gone, and they make curry the racial representative of an entire crew. So yeah, I think that sums just about what I mentioned to the BBC. I probably said some other stuff, but if you should be intrigued, go and read The Critical Race Theory, have a look, it's out there for you. And again, I'm not apologetic at all for trending white proverbs as a hashtag. I also believe that we should always call out white people on their microaggressive statements. And I also had a message for the BBC, who didn't even humanise me by referring me to me with my name, but said, "Here's the woman